with Charles and
Computer will go live in 5 seconds.
Okay,
4,
I'm muting.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Kufar Akbar, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Crescent Discussion Group. This is a blog talk radio program dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. We are here every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Times. I'm trying to scan got quite a few people commenting in chat already. I'm trying to keep up with all that. Sorry. Brian, Muslims and atheists use this day to enhance their ideology.
It's true. They go out and they hand out candy.
Yeah, they did that, and they got pictures of them doing that on 9/11 in, I think it was the Gaza Strip, after they heard the towers are coming out. So they're handing out candy. And isn't there a hadith or something that goes along with that? There's something about that I remember. There's a hadith that says that when you celebrate, hand out candies or hand out something when your enemy suffers and a victory for it doesn't matter. But I remember them doing that, and Trump didn't Trump get himself into some type of?
Yeah, he did. They claimed it never happened. He was claiming he saw people Muslims celebrating 9/11, and it was actually videotaped on rooftops. So there's no question on whether from where he was, there's no question on whether he could see it or not. But they were refusing to believe it.
Right. I mean, who would believe such a thing, right? I mean, who would believe that people would actually celebrate the death of 3,000 Americans, or nearly 3,000? Remember the 2008 or 2,986, I think, was the official toll. If I'm not mistaken. I'm willing to be wrong on that, but it's still a couple thousand too many. That's for sure. So today, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be commemorating 9/11. We're going to remember what happened. We're going to take a look at why it happened and the justifications for it. And then we're going to take a look and see what has happened since then, how that's changed our lives here in the United States, specifically when it comes to air travel. I did a slideshow last year on this, and I updated it just a little bit because I wanted to add something in there. I wanted to contrast the differences between what's taught in the Quran and what Christ teaches us in the Bible, because I've often heard this year that we all worship the same God. We all worship the we all come from the Abrahamic covenant. So therefore, we worship the same God. And when you try to contrast and compare the teachings of Christ, who Christians believe is God incarnate, and you compare them to what the Quran teaches, the Quran has to say, I don't see how you can reconcile the two, how you can say that they come from the the same God. Now you can believe that if you want to. You perfectly believe it. Free to believe what you want. But you can't tell me that they're from the same God if the source of these passages is indeed from the God of Abraham. So we'll jump right into this. Let's see here. How do I do this? I got to share screen. Bada bing. Here we go. And we should have it up on the screen right about now. There we go. How's that? Can you all see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You notice in the intro that Connie put together for me. Is Connie here? Connie's here. There she is. You have the video of that second plane hitting the towers, and I was watching a few videos this week about that. And one of the things that I wanted to address here was this idea of, whoops, wrong one. Doggone it. It's all about me today, right? No, I'm kidding. I wanted to address some of the.
See how you are.
Yeah, see how you are, Eric. It's all about you, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
That was a mistake. It is all about me. That's right. What was I saying? I was watching a couple of videos this week about because this 9/11 truther stuff is still out there. As a matter of fact, one of the websites that I go to quite a bit for news every day it's similar to the Drudge Report. They call it the Liberty. What do they call it? The Liberty Daily is what they call it. I go to Revolver News. I go to a couple of. I go to Bare Naked Islam, Jihad Watch. Anyway, their headlines. Let me see if I can pull this up. And I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just not going to start going to you guys anymore, because if this is the type of tenor that you see here.
Well, the 9/11 truther stuff, which is interesting. It originated. We know it originated in places like Iran. We heard it was like they were telling these lies, these particular same lies, that all the Jews left the day before, or they didn't show up. Those particular lies were in the Middle East. The next day or two later, they appeared in militias and a few other places. So it made you wonder what those connections were that were bringing those stories here. And then you have the 9/11 truther organizations that were repeating those same lies. So that's the actual history of the event. This is
well, the one that really got me was there was an interview with Jesse Ventura. Now I liked him as the Gov because he was a straight. I didn't really like his politics all that much because he's a libertarian, and I do.
Yes.
There's things about the libertarians that I like, but there's things that I dislike. But the thing that I liked about him is that he was a straight shooter. I mean, he would tell you exactly what he thought, and he didn't sit there and take any nonsense up of anybody. They had that one senator. Remember that one senator from Minnesota? His plane crashed, and he went to this guy's funeral, and they turned it into this. It was like this public political event, is what it turned in. And he got up. He attended it as the governor of Minnesota, of course, but he got up and left. He says, "Look, I didn't come there for a political event, bashing everybody and their brother. I came here to, commemorate and remember the senator who had died in plane crash." And he got up and left. So I respected that. But when I was watching, like I said, I was watching all kinds of videos this week on this truther stuff, and the fantastical stories that they share with one another are exactly that, fantastical. And we'll discuss a little bit of that as we go along. So let's just jump over to the slideshow and get rolling on this. I only have 126 slides, so this shouldn't take too terribly long.
just a small slideshow today.
Just a brief one, yes. Okay.
Yeah, just a small slideshow.
Okay, so let's take a look and see what happened on that day. Of course, we all know that 4 aircraft were hijacked. 3 of them flew into their targets, which was the World Trade Center. 2 of them hit the World Trade Centers, North and South Towers. And then one of them did hit the Pentagon. And the 4th one crashed in the field out in Pennsylvania as the passengers tried to take control of it. They took off. 2 took off from both Boston, 1 from Newark, New Jersey, which is just right across the river. You can actually see the Twin Towers as you land in Newark, or not the Twin Towers. You can see Manhattan, the Manhattan skyline as you land in Newark, New Jersey. And the other one took off from Reagan International there in Washington, D.C. So they're all right there, and they're all loaded down with fuel because they were all supposed to be flights that were supposed to be going to the West Coast. Okay, so understand what happened. You have to understand the why. Now, here on the show, I know I'm going to be preaching to the choir today on a lot of this, but I want to make some of this relevant to the point where we understand the recent history in which fueled this, which enabled these people to what's the word I'm looking for, where you gather around somebody and rally behind them, why they were able to rally behind Osama bin Laden to launch something like this.
Their claimed reasons for supporting them. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a word for it, but that's okay. I haven't been good at using these words like, what was that? Coalesce, not coalesced, not conference. What was that word that we used the other day when we were talking about politics? I'm going to forget it too.
Rad got it.
Rad had it. Rad, where's Rad? Is he here? Rad ain't even here.
It's actually Rad's birthday today, isn't it?
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He said he ran out of power, though. Anyway.
Are you thinking caucus? Because I barely remember too.
There you go. That's
Is
right.
it
That's
caucus? Okay.
It's caucus. Yes. Okay. Caucus. Jeepers. Christmas. All right. So let's go back to some recent history. And we're only going back to 1979, thanks goodness. And if we remember what happened in 1979, the Soviet Union invades Afghanistan. The Mujahideen rise up to throw off the commies that invaded them. And the person who people from all over the Muslim world come to help them out, to include Osama bin Laden. After the Soviet Union leaves, it creates this power vacuum within Afghanistan itself, and terrorist organizations and different vying factions vie for power within Afghanistan, and it basically becomes a lawless and rudderless country. And they were able to launch attacks from Afghanistan throughout the world. Then the following year, after this, the Iraqis, they invade Kuwait. Saddam rolls up Kuwait in an afternoon, for Pete's sake. He rolled up they took down the entire country, raped and pillaged the country, and essentially caused 20% of the world's oil supply to be in doubt. And we know what makes the world go round, and definitely not wind turbines or solar panels. It is oil. And so if you jeopardize the free supply of oil, it's going to cause the prices of oil to go up around the world, which is going to cause inflation and all kinds of other problems. So what do? We sent our army over there, draw a line in the sand, which we did. And we ended up getting armored assets into the theater, a lot of air assets. And then we basically removed the Iraqi army from Kuwait with a ground war that took about 96 hours. The air war just decimated Saddam's army, which was the 4th largest in the world at that time. And you can still see the remnants of all of his armored vehicles, artillery pieces, tanks, armored personnel carriers in these massive, if you ever seen a car junkyard, that's what they look like out in the middle of the Kuwaiti desert. All of those things are still sitting there today, but they're destroyed or disabled in one shape or form. But what we did is we left a contingent of soldiers in Saudi Arabia, and that upset this guy right here. This is Osama bin Laden, who was the leader of Al Qaeda, and he's the one that masterminded this plan to attack the World Trade Centers. Now, he was accused the United States of being the great Satan, and he needed to eject the people from the land of Muhammad, which is the Arabian Peninsula, which was Saudi Arabia, where they have the Kaaba and the Medina. So what he does is he starts beginning attacks abroad against U.S. interests all over the place. And he uses the Quran as justification to do that. And one of the main questions is, well, where in the Quran does it say that you can attack people? And what I wanted to do, and here's what's the difference between what I haven't done before, but I wanted to see how this goes. And I want people to tell me that the God of the Quran is the same God of the New Testament, the same God of Jesus Christ, the same God of the Old Testament, where, you do have violence in the Old Testament. This is true, but they're descriptive and not prescriptive. This is why we don't have Jews going around the world today whacking people in the name of Moses or King David or whatever.
It would be in the name of Yahweh.
It would be. You're right. But what I'm just trying to draw a correlation between what Muhammad, how they do this for Muhammad, because this is what Muhammad told them to do in the Quran. So let's take a look.
Muhammad did it in the name of Allah, right? Of their so-called God. So Israel would be doing it in the name of their God, they would say Hashem. They'd probably just say Hashem.
That's true. True. Okay, let's jump back over here. Okay, so he uses what was I saying? He uses which verses to justify this. So let's just go through some of these verses. Oops, wrong screen. Here we go. Okay, you go to Quran chapter 2, verse 244. Fight in the cause of Allah. Compare that to Matthew 5. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Quran 2:216. Fighting is prescribed for you. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. 3:151. We will cast terror into the hearts of the unbelievers, for they joined companions. Here's where you have the bash against Christianity. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. More. 476. Those who believe fight in the cause of Allah. So fight against those, the friends of the shaitan, the Christians. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. The disbelievers are ever unto you open enemies. So anybody that's not a Muslim is an open enemy. It says right there in chapter 4, verse 101, where Christ tells us, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Oops, I'm not paying attention here. Let me jump back over here. Sorry. Quran 4:104. Be not weak-hearted in pursuit of the enemy. And then Christ teaches us, blessed are those pure in heart, for they shall see God. It's kind of, if you notice, I'm just kind of going in order of what he teaches there in chapter 5 in the Sermon on the Mount. And then 5:33, of course, if you make fitna, corruption in the land, you're to be murdered or crucified and have your hands or feet cut off on opposite ends. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. I remember, or let's see, I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Therefore, strike off their heads and their fingertips too, which would leave a mark, which is very painful. Blessed are those who persecuted for righteousness' sake. There's more. Fight them until there's no more fitna. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Let's see here. 867. Made a great slaughter in the land. Rejoice and be glad for your reward in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. O prophet, exhort the believers to fight. And it goes on to 9:5. Slay the idolaters where you find them, besiege them, lie in wait for them, ambush them. It goes in more. 9:14. Fight against them, so Allah will punish them by your hands. 9:29, of course, despite those who believe not in Allah in the last day, until they pay the jizya, and with willing submission and feel themselves subdued until they become dhimmis themselves. There's more. 9:30, and the Jews say, Ezra, Allah will destroy them. Ezra is the Son of God, which they don't. And this is one of the questions that came up on the show not too long ago. Well, where does which group out there, which
None.
Jewish group
None.
out there, right,
None.
believes that Ezra is the Son of God, as the Christians believe Jesus was the Son of God? Yeah, good luck finding that one, because it doesn't exist. 973, strive hard against the unbelievers. Be unyielding to them. 988, fight with their wealth and their persons. Okay, so you can not only fight with your person, go out there and physically fight, but you can also do it with your money. 9111, they fight in his cause and slay and are slain. Is there more? Yes, there is. Look at there. 9123, fight those of the unbelievers. 47, 3-4, those who disbelieve, smite at their necks till when you have killed and wounded many of them. Do we have more? Yes. 48, 49, you're hard and ruthless against the unbelievers or the disbelievers. Surely Allah loves those who fight in his cause.
Eric?
Does this ever stop? What?
Yeah. You know where, and then it says that the Christians say that that Jesus is the Son of Allah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they believe that, right?
Who does?
Okay. Well, then if we're claiming that Jesus is the Son of Allah, how come Jesus didn't do all this fighting and killing and captive and ambushing and everything? If we believe that he's the Son of Allah, see, busted.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make is that if Christians say that Jesus is the Son of God and Jesus taught all these things that he did at the Sermon on the Mount, can this be the same God of the New Testament as we find in the Quran? And I know exactly what the rescuing device is going to be, is that, well, the New Testament's been corrupted. Jesus never said those things. And it just denial. That's the only world that they live in, is in denial of what the Bible actually teaches. Okay, I think that's it. 191 to 93, kill them wherever you find them. Turn them out until they have turned you out. And all fitna, disbelief, is worse than killing. But if they desist, and fight them until there's no more fitna, which is disbelief, meaning that Jesus Christ is God, and worship is for Allah alone. So there are all kinds of passages within the Quran itself that calls for violence. So when you get a joker like Osama bin Laden that calls for violence against non-believers, calls for violence against governments and people groups who are innocent bystanders, when you see all of this in the Quran, you know where their soul is at, what they believe, and the source for their actions. And I know
we just have to be careful with the use of the word innocent, because they believe the word innocent means Muslim.
Yes, this is true. But even Muslims died on 9/11.
Correct.
So how do they justify that? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, Osama bin Laden.
That's allowed, because as long as you're taking one infidel with you, it's okay.
Yeah, I think the saying is, let Allah sort them out.
Yes.
Yeah. There is a saying. I can't remember what it seems like it's a hadith where it's from. They were among them, or they were from among them, or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's so many hadith out there that you can't keep all of them straight. And you can make. And here's what we find a lot is that you can go into the hadith and basically justify anything that you do. I mean, we've had Lloyd on here, and Adam Seeker on here, and Usama on here, and all these guys, and John Isaac on here, and they'll go through a laundry list of things that are just absolutely abhorrent to us as the people living in the West. But yet, if you go into the hadith, those things can be completely justified, and they do justify doing them by using the hadith. So when we start talking about hadith, you can, how big is Bukhari? I mean, you got 6,700 different hadith in Bukhari alone. And then you have Muslim and Sunnah Abu Dawud. You got 6 compilers there alone. And then you got the Sirah, the biography. And then you got the commentary and Tasfir. You just have all of these things where you can just about justify anything you want to do from these scholars, quote unquote. Okay, so let's take a look at what bin Laden did, what he was up to right after the Soviets left Afghanistan. Okay, you go back to 1993, you have the World Trade Center bombing. This is when the World Trade Center was bombed, before the World Trade Center was actually bombed. This is where you have the blind sheikh, whatever his nut name was. I can't remember the guy's name. Where they took a bomb or a truck, one of them panel vans, filled it full of explosives, parked it underneath the World Trade Center and lit it off. And I'm not sure how many people they killed, but I know hundreds of them were injured trying to get out of the building from smoke inhalation. Then you have the Khobar Towers, which I got a picture down here in the lower right corner. This was an army barracks in Saudi Arabia itself, where they lit off a gas truck, one of those gasoline trucks that fill up gas stations, and blew the entire front of the barracks off, killed over a dozen soldiers alone. Then you have the embassy bombings in Tanzania and Kenya going off within like an hour of each other, destroying U.S. embassies. Over 500 people are killed there. Then you have the USS Cole being bombed off of the coast of Yemen when it was refueling. Had a big old hole the size of a room blown into the side of it, killed over a dozen sailors. Then you have the World Trade Center bombings, where the aircraft hit the World Trade Centers. That killed that's thousands of people. And then you have the Bali bombings, where they took over that hotel, I believe it was in Mumbai, India, and killed over, I think it was 400 people were killed in that. And then the Madrid train bombings, where 3 separate explosions go off in the train station in Madrid right before the national elections. And the opposition leader said, if you elect me, I'll pull our soldiers out of Iraq. And guess what they did after those bombings? The people elected the opposition leader, and he pulled the Spanish soldiers out of Iraq.
There was the London train bombings. We had the train bombings in London.
That's right there, Dominic. I was getting to it.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask a question before I got to that.
Yeah.
Does terrorism work? Is it effective? Can it work? And when we look at the example of the Madrid train bombings, yes, absolutely it worked, because it got the Spanish, the country of Spain, to pull their soldiers out of Iraq. And then, of course, we got the 7/7 bombings in 2005, where they blew up a double-decker bus and had another bomb go off in the subway station. How many people that killed, Dominic? Was it 70 some?
It was a lot of people. It was absolutely crazy during the time, because I was actually using the subway system, or like the underground system at the time. It was just like there was so many police on every single station, because with the London Underground, I mean, if someone puts a bomb or something there, there's so many different stations. So it's like it was just like walking anywhere. You just the police had to be everywhere, but because the amount of people that go through like the London Underground system is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, that's the most terrifying, is because if you're underground and something like that goes off, you don't have anywhere to go. You're confined, and then plus the concussion alone itself will blow your eardrums out of your head if you're even close to that thing, because the concussion itself does not have anywhere to go. So for people that, when we start talking about, if you're going to set off a bomb, the subway is probably, I'm not endorsing setting off bombs anywhere, but if you're going to set one off, that's probably one of the best places to do it, because you can get the most damage done to people that you possibly can. Okay, so now you see bin Laden's work. And plus, on top of this, he was also, when he was in his little hotel there in Abbottabad, Pakistan, or that little compound that he lived in, he was sending letters out to jihadi leaders, exhorting them to attack, because Al Qaeda, after we invaded Afghanistan, was basically decimated. It was taken down. I mean, all of the financial assets, all of its recruiting abilities was shut down, and all he could do was basically encourage people to attack U.S. interests. And he's trying to get them to attack the trains here in the United States, shipping containers, things like that. And he's given detailed listings on where to attack a train at, how many tracks that you have to knock off, what would do the most damage, yada, yada. He was very meticulous about what he was encouraging people to do. Yeah. 700 injured. Yeah. I knew it was big. I just can't remember how many were killed. It's like 60 or 70.
Is that
Eric?
Yep.
Back to the same thing. If we believed that Jesus was the son of Allah and we're Jesus's disciples, how come we're not doing all of this? How come we're not doing Allah's bidding? How come we're not, doing all of this stuff? If we believe that Jesus is the son of Allah, wouldn't we be, doing fights in the name of Allah too, and captivating people and blowing them up and killing them?
This just shows the superiority of Christ over the little guy.
Exactly. So that's just a bold-faced lie.
It shows how false the Quran is. It shows how false the Quran is. And you did say that whether from the same God, it's absurd. It's absurd.
It is. It's idiotic. It's from the same mind that was crushed at Calvary's cross, Christ's heel bruising the head of the serpent.
Yeah.
So now you get idiotic stuff out of his mouth. Thank you.
Nim Grace just posed. Were you commenting, Nim? Were you commenting on the 2000? Was it 2004 attacks there at the train station? Is that what you were saying? And also, can somebody fact check me and tell me how many people were killed on 7/7? This is bothering me now. I had this in my head, and Dominic throughout 700 were injured. I know that quite a few were injured. I just didn't know.
It says 52 people were killed. That's what the Wikipedia page said.
Okay.
Yeah.
52. All right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I've kind of said. But the thing is the amount of devastation that it caused. Because like if you're on the London, like if you've got like a backpack on or anything like if you're going anywhere, it's like you were just immediately like. It was just an absolute nightmare just traveling on the train systems. Like after that.
Well, the purpose was terrorism.
Yeah.
And that's the thing people have to look at. The
intentional
purpose was fear, and that's why they struck. That's what the purpose again with the World Trade Center. The purpose was fear. They thought they were striking the center of our economy, so they thought they could inflict fear. Oh, they inflicted fear, but they got a world of hurt in return. Because once you piss off Americans as a unity, you pay the price.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of the thing. A lot of people focus on how many injured, how many killed. No, it's to shut down a whole area or an economy. Okay, look at, for instance, the Boston bombers. They shut down Boston, Massachusetts. Okay, they put it under lockdown, right? I mean, for like a couple of days, they put neighborhoods on lockdown until they found the guy. But yeah, so wasn't there also another one after 7/7, but it kind of fizzled out? There was one like right after, a couple of weeks later, they tried it again, but the bomb didn't go off.
Yeah, there was loads of times. There was loads of times that they tried. It was like just it didn't work because we had to keep like a constant eye on them. You've got places like Luton. I mean, like if you go up the road in Luton, there's like so many Muslims up in that area. It's like kind of like so yeah. So it was just so yeah. It was yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. You never really know when it will happen again.
Well, you have. If you look at a lot of these bombings and the trends that they set, the ones that when the Boston bombers it was during the Boston Marathon. Duh, my wife runs marathons, and it was during that where they set that up. They were using pressure cookers. So what is the next thing to do? People do they start limiting the number of pressure cookers or regulating the pressure cooker sales in the United States because now they figure out, well, you can make a bomb with the pressure cooker. So the limiting of backpacks, and I'm getting into all this here in just a second, guys, because I'm going to show you.
So I have a list here of the attacks that you were talking about after 7/7.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 2005 by Al-Qaeda. Musaid bombing.
Eric, mute yourself. There's a bad echo. Bad echo. Yeah, mute yourself, Eric. When Paul, thank you. When Paul speaks, it just echoes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll try this again. All right. So get back to the right page. So we had the 7/7 London bombings. It says this list says 52 killed, over 700 wounded. 2005 Musaib. A bombing was a suicide attack on a marketplace in Iraq, a town 35 miles south of Baghdad, July 16, 2005. September 14, 2005, Baghdad bombing with a series of more than a dozen terrorist attacks in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad. 2005, Bali bombings.
How many people died in that one? How many people, does it say, Paul, how many people died in the Bali bombings?
20 people killed, over 100 wounded.
No. They took over that hotel. They took over that hotel.
Yeah. Let's see. November 2005, Kanakin bombings, suicide attack on 2 Shia mosques in Iraq. 2006. I mean, there's a whole list of a number of these.
2 Shia mosques, did you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 Shia mosques on 2006. Baratha Mosque bombing with triple suicide bombing occurred on April 7th in Baghdad. 23rd of November 2006, Sadr City bombings were a series of car bombs and mortar attacks that began on November 23rd and ended at 3:55. 6 car bombs, 2 mortar rounds were used in the attack on the Shiite city in Sadr City. I mean, this list goes on and on and on, and it says something. I mean, the thing people forget
here it is. All right, I got it. Okay, there was 2 Bali bombings. There was one in 2005 and one in 2002. The one that I was citing in 2002. The one in 2005 did kill 20 people. The one in 2002 was over 200 people were killed. So we were talking about the same area. It's just two different bombings. I was all Rad. Why are you in here?
Bali bombing in the tourist district you're talking about. Yeah. It's October 12th.
Yeah. So so when you start. Okay, hold on. I hear a reverb.
Killed 202 people.
Yeah. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, so as you can see, it's pervasive. But the ones that I was speaking specifically of was the ones that were inspired by Osama bin Laden, Al Qaeda, and what their goals were. Now, I don't know if these other ones that you're talking about are Al Qaeda inspired.
These are all specifically Al Qaeda. They were only Al Qaeda.
So the list just goes on and on and on and on, and we could be here all day just describing the horror that this terrorist group has. As Connie, your
So I will say this:
what was Bin Laden Sunni?
Yes.
And we can't forget that ISIS was originally part of Al Qaeda. It was part of the 10-year plan to create the caliphate and this was, again, ISIS. You have to consider part of Al Qaeda.
But weren't they part of the Muslim Brotherhood as well? Because you have the Muslim Brotherhood.
Exactly.
Because you had the Muslim Brotherhood that was originally from Egypt, and then they kind of split off, and then they kind of there's the different groups that kind of split off.
There is no existing Islamic terror group today that does not have connections to the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes.
Okay, let's jump back into slideshows so we get this done. So we can have a conversation. Well, we can have conversations along the way, I guess, but let's come on. There we go. All right. So when we look at the number of hijackers, 19, 15 were from Saudi Arabia. Now think about what they did. If you consider what they did, they used the American immigration system to get to the United States. They used American flight schools to train how to fly aircraft. Then they used American aircraft against us. And they did this with just box cutters. And that's what's the most terrifying thing about it, is that something as simple as a box cutter and being able to basically bring our country to its knees. When you think about the targets that they attacked the symbols of America's greatness. They attacked the symbol of our economic superiority over every country on the planet by attacking the World Trade Center. They attacked the symbol of our military dominance across the planet by attacking the Pentagon. And then they were going after the government of the United States. They think that last aircraft, the one that crashed in Pennsylvania, was supposed to hit the Capitol building there in Washington, D.C. And the reason why they think that Capitol building is opposed to the White House is because if you know the layout of Washington, D.C., the Capitol building sits up on a hill as opposed to the White House sits down there about level with the Potomac River. It's just right on the river. But the Capitol, you have to actually go up on a hill, and it would have been an easier target. You could have hit the Capitol because it's bigger than the White House too. Oh, by the way. Okay.
That flight 93.
Yeah,
because I just found out the Pentagon was built in 19. The Pentagon was built in 1941 on September 11th as well. It was the same day that it was built.
Say that again.
The actual construction of the Pentagon started in 1941 on September 11th, the same day. Like it was the attacks was the same day it was actually constructed, which is
well, the Pentagon. The Pentagon, when we and we think of the date of why they picked September 11th, it goes back to the Gates of Vienna back in 1683, I think it was, where the Ottoman Turks had laid siege to Vienna, Austria. And this is based on my reading I've read on this, is that the Turks were turned back and in Vienna, Austria. 1683 seems to be the year, but it was on September 11th. So the reason why they picked this date was because they wanted to continue the expansion of, or recontinue the expansion of the Islamic Caliphate on that day of September 11th. That's what I understand. Now, the Pentagon may have started the construction of the Pentagon on that date. If you ever looked at it, if anybody's ever been to the Pentagon, it's actually an amazing structure, and the simplicity behind it is absolutely
I have.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean it's 5-sided. It has 5 stories, and it has 5 corridors going to the center. So when they call it the Pentagon, it is actually a pentagon in every way that you could about imagine, with the exception of the hallways having 5 sides. That would be a little awkward to be in a hallway with 5 sides. But other than that, I mean, the whole thing is just it. And you can get lost in that sucker. It's anyway. I'm off topic here.
So if you work there, you must have been there. I've
been there a couple times.
All right.
I never worked when I was there for work, but I never worked. I was never stationed. And the people it does something to you as a soldier by working in the Pentagon, because they give you this idea that I worked in the Pentagon, and what that means is that you weren't wearing combat boots and you weren't out training and you weren't with soldiers, is what that means if you worked in the Pentagon. So don't give me this crap that, I worked in the Pentagon. I don't want to hear that. that nonsense. And it is a status symbol because you got to wear a little bat. Anyway, let's get back to the show here. Okay, so they did this with just box cutters. That's what's just so terrifying about this whole thing. And there I put it. Okay, and they attacked our symbols of dominance, and they shut down flights in the United States for 3 straight days. Markets crashed everywhere. I went to there a couple years ago with my wife, and we took a tour of what is there today. And in the museum that they have set up there, these are the foundational bases for those heavy beams that was used to erect and hold up the Twin Towers. And you can see how huge just the foundational beams themselves were. This is the stairway people were taking to get out of the Tower 1 when the building came down on these people. And this is all that's left of it. They called it the Stairway to Heaven, based off what is that? Led Zeppelin? Who sings Stairway to Heaven? Is that Led Zeppelin? Am I right on that?
Yeah, I believe it's Led Zeppelin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Led
But
Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin. There we go. Okay. They called it the Stairway to Heaven, though, is what they ended up renaming it. Here's a fire truck that they recovered from the wreckage of the World Trade Center coming down on it. This is the beam. This is those steel beams. Now the steel on these things is 3/4 of an inch thick. It's just absolutely solid. But you can see what the airplane, it bent. It bent that steel when that airplane hit it. And then everybody's name that died that day is on a wall there. And so what do we do about that? I mean, all these guys.
What did the wall say? Can you go back?
They have notes there. Yeah, they have notes. Let me go back here. They have little notes with everybody's name on it.
Shall erase you from the what?
Shall erase you from the memory of time. From the memory of time. From the memory of time. So everybody's name that died in the World Trade Center is on that wall right there. Okay, so when we look on who's
wow, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it's in the basement. If you ever get to New York, make a. What is this?
I'll never go to New York or California. Thank you.
That's the museum that's being closed. The 9/11 museum that they've closed.
They've closed it?
Yes.
Why?
You're asking a good question.
They closed it today, or this is closed permanently?
It's supposed to be closed permanently, from my understanding.
In
I don't
this
know
wall,
it's been a discussion in the intelligence community.
That's not intelligence.
Yeah,
that's stupidity.
It's been a discussion this past month that they were going to disclose it, and I would say it's federal funds from Biden would just not existent anymore.
I've got the article right up here. New York City's 9/11 Tribute Museum closes its doors. The 9/11 Tribute Museum in Lower Manhattan will close its doors permanently Wednesday. This is just a couple weeks ago, after being unable to rebound from the pandemic losses. Let me quote it. This is ABC 7 New York. Get the full article here. Here, I'll share it.
My issue with that is the concept of how money is spent federally. There should have been a regular designation of finances. Again.
Okay, my daughter just showed up. Sucker. What was that? They closed it. Why did they close it?
They're saying there's no finances, that they didn't receive any money during COVID.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen right now.
This isn't a private. The museum is not privately funded. What?
The 9/11 Tribute Museum in Lower Manhattan closed its doors permanently Wednesday after being unable to rebound from pandemic losses. The September 11th Families Associations, which funded the 9/11 Tribute Museum, hinted back in March that this day was coming after a sharp decline in visitors and revenue since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Financial hardships, including lost revenue caused by the pandemic, prevents us from generating sufficient funding to continue to operate the physical museum, co-founders said. The number of visitors have dropped from more than 500,000 in 2011 to just 26,000 last year. We're millions of dollars in debt with our lease, and trying to make up that on top of our annual operating costs is almost impossible without visitors or some intervention from our government. And said, the museum on Greenwich Street, which is separated from the 9/11 Memorial, the museum on Greenwich Street, which is separated from the 9/11 Memorial and Museum at Ground Zero, will continue its presence online, which officials say will allow them to continue to provide educational resources for the 9/11 community. The tribute guided walk tour program, led by the Tribute Museum 9/11 community survivors, first responders, residents, family members, will also cease operations.
Okay, this has got to be two separate things. This is because the national. Okay, you have the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. Now, this tribute museum, it appears to be a privately funded entity, where the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. I mean, you don't defund a memorial, for Pete's sake. You can't. I mean,
that's exactly what's happening.
That's impossible. You can't just.
Well, no, yeah. So
defund.
It looks like they're two separate things. You have the museum, which is privately funded by the September 11 Families Association. Okay. Which founded the 9/11 Tribute Museum. Oh yeah, okay, so it's a tribute museum. But then you also have the which is on Greenwich Street, which is separate from the 9/11 Memorial and Museum at Ground Zero.
Okay, that's
all right. So that's okay.
These are two different things then, and I could see. Okay, so I can see that then. But the memorial where they have the actual. Where the building stood. I mean, if you go there today, they have those big old water fountains that go down into those places where the Twin Towers were. Underneath those are those foundational pieces. I mean, where that water comes down. If you were looking at those, let me just put this back up here. Let me just do this. Okay. Let's see here. If you go back, let's go back. Where did it go? Okay, if you are looking to the right of these people right here, that's where the water fountain is. That's where the water pours down into. It's just to the right on the other side of this wall. It'd be a thick wall because you don't want the water pouring in, but that's where the museum sits. It's right there on the site. So this memorial walk thing it has to be something different than the museum itself. Because the museum this is a federally funded thing. You're not going to pay a lease. This is Port Authority land. That doesn't make any sense. But that sounds about right. Because of COVID, it sounds about you go from 500,000 visitors down to 26,000 visitors. Yeah, that's like it'd be 500%. That'd be more than a 500% loss. That'd be like a 4,000% loss. No, it's not. It doesn't matter. I suck at math. Don't ask me to figure that out. What the loss is. I just noticed this. This is our friend who's created a page on Facebook refuting the cross and the crescent. So if anybody wants to go over there and say hello to our friend, and Rad and I actually,
thank you.
Rad and I actually have gotten to have a mutual respect for that guy because of his persistence and his willingness to really come after. He's not like this wannabe soldier of Allah, Mujahideen Islam, that only talks a good game. He actually goes out and does things. So he's kind of war on, but it isn't that I like the guy anymore. But I mean, I have more respect for him than I do that guy from Houston. Okay, let's get back to the.
Wait. Who is this? Is this Marshall? Is this Marshall?
That's Marshall's page. Yeah, that's Marshall's page.
Marshall, are you off the crack again, dude? Because Kenny was saying. No, Kenny was saying you went off the wagon, dude. You started beating up on Muslims and stuff, and you went back to rehab because you were smoking the meth or the crack or whatever it was. But I hope you're back on the wagon again, dude, and not smoking that demon stuff. But anyway,
Well, addiction.
9/11 has whole.
Okay, we've talked about how tough addiction is for people, and how I've prayed for the guy before, because addiction is just it's a terrible thing, and you can be going for years, and all of a sudden, boom, you relapse and you're back in the game. I've seen it too many times, and with family members too, as a matter of fact, where they'll be fine, and then the next thing you know, they're back in rehab because they fell off the wagon. So yeah, we pray for Marshall, even though he is obviously a misguided.
He's Marshall.
Yeah,
He's Marshall.
But
we're the best home to pray for, right?
Yeah, and
Jesus pray for us. Yes, thank you.
Anyway, he's got some video. The 9/11 narrative has holes in it. Kind of like your Quran.
Oh, is that what that is?
I want to share it. Let's play it. It's a 30-second video. We should play it for him. Let's see what it is.
All right, put it up, and I'll bring it up.
He's saying that the Pennsylvania plane was shot down.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that before too. All right, let's finish this, and then we'll get to his video. Let's finish this, and we'll get to his video. Okay. So,
all right.
And I asked the question about who.
Happy birthday, Rad! I see you're.
Was this your birthday, Rad?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's my fake Facebook birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, happy fake Facebook birthday then.
Happy fake birthday, Rad.
Well, one of my family members has a birthday today too.
Well,
it's my brother's birthday today. Yeah, it's my brother's birthday today. No, it's his true birthday.
Brother's birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday, guy.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Clubhouse yesterday trying to spread his. Yeah, I saw that too, Darcy. I got there right after he left. I was with Danny Davis. Okay, so who's won the war on terror? Well, think about what we do in airports today. Where prior to 9/11, you could just walk down the concourse straight to your aircraft. You have to go through a metal detector, and whoever dropped you off at the airport could actually walk down there with you. That, not so much anymore. When you think about the level of security, which we're going to talk about here, it's just absolutely insane. Going into the U.S. Capitol, when my wife and I first got married, we were at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the airborne, HUA. We drove up to Washington, D.C. We parked the car right out here in front and walked up these steps. And we had one of them little Kodak Instamatic 110 cameras. And we walked around the Senate area, the Rotunda. We walked over to the House of Representatives, went in there, sat down, watched them debate, talk for whatever, and took a whole bunch of pictures. And then we came home. And nobody said boo to us. You can't get within 3 blocks of the Capitol building today with a car. And then on top of that, you can't get into the Capitol unless you go on one of their crummy little tours that they offer you after they check your rear end with a microscope. It's absolutely disgusting. And then this one right here is one that's so bothersome to me. If you look here, this is the Statue of Liberty. A synonym for liberty is freedom. And again, my wife and I, when we went to New York City, we took this boat out to the Statue of Liberty. But in order to get on that boat, I had to go through a search of my persons. I had to take my belt off in front of everyone, like we do at an airport today. I had to take my shoes off and empty my pockets before I got on this boat. After that happened, I realized that they had won. They had changed our lives, taken away our freedoms to where we hardly. Yes. I mean, people. When we subject ourselves to these types of searches. We went to the St. Louis a couple years ago to watch the Yankees lose our play, and we went to the Busch Stadium. It's just down the street from the St. Louis Arch, and we went to the Arch, and we got to the Arch, and I wanted to go down there and look at the museum, Lewis and Clark, because that's part of the curriculum that I taught, and go up into the Arch itself. And in order to get in there, you had to go through a metal detector. You had to take your belt off. You had to take your shoes off. And I just walked out. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do this. I am not going to live in fear. I'm not going to subject myself to this type of intrusive search of somebody that has you have no business questioning whether or not I mean harm to anybody or not. None whatsoever. If there is probable cause, then you need to provide that. But this is the mindset that has changed in the last 20 years. Where before we would say, oh, no, there's no way you're going to do it. You know, with the aircraft, there's an imminent threat there with an aircraft. But going into the St. Louis Arch, there's not an imminent threat. You don't have hijacking instances of people in the St. Louis Arch or any buildings that are similar to that. But yet, we still subject ourselves to that type of garbage. So, yes, I would say that they won. When we look at other things in our lives that we do, if we look, here we go. Even though our luggage is sent through metal detectors now and is scrutinized. Look at this guy. This is why you take your shoes off, because Richard Reed here, he put a bomb in the bottom of his shoe and he tried to light a fuse for it. And luckily it didn't work for him on a plane in Detroit on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something a number of years ago.
Didn't he also burn his nads? Wasn't he?
No, that's somebody else. That's somebody else. I'm getting it.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's somebody else. Yeah. Okay. The reason why you have to take your belt off is because of some belts have sharp objects that go to them. I understand that, but still, that's an intrusive search. And the reason why is because of the box cutter incident where they had the 9/11. They boarded those planes with just box cutters, cut the throats of the pilot and killed them, and took over the planes and crashed them into buildings. So you have to take your belts off. Here's the guy with the underwear, Rad. This is the guy that had a whole bunch of explosives. If you look right here, I don't know if you can see it. Let me make this bigger. You had an explosive package wrapped around his leg, and then what he was supposed to do was inject a different chemical into that, and that was supposed to cause an explosion. And it didn't cause an explosion. It just actually caused a fire. So he
really hot, intense fire. The dude sitting next to him, I remember seeing an interview. Heard the interview. He was like, "Yeah, I was sitting next to him." I looked over. I said, "Dude, your pants are on fire." And I got water on them. Like, "Whoa, dude, you're burning." But I guess it totally burned his nads off. So if he ever gets his worries in heaven, I was gonna have to do some reconstructive surgery for him.
Well, that's and there were some other things that were about that were anyway. Okay, so this is why we have to go through these these, what do they call these things? Scanners. They had to go through these body scanners where they can look underneath your clothes, for crying out loud.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Do the female Muslims have to do that? Because I heard there were some different rules for them. And even though I do believe that one of the I call them Muslimettes, but one of the Muslimettes, she had, sorry, I get very disrespectful. She had some kind of bomb in the baby formula or something like that.
We're getting to that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. And this is how they picked it up. Well, this wasn't how they picked it up, but they did pick that up. But this is, you can see people's anatomy with these body scanners. It's absolutely intrusive, and they make you go through there like sheep. Put your hands up like a good sheep, and then get on your plane. I don't know. They won. Okay, so here's the one that Sharon's talking about. This is the parents of the year. Boarding a plane with their infant child with a bomb in the baby's bottle, and this was Zain Ali was the baby's name, from England. And so now this is why you cannot take more than 8 fluid ounces of any type of liquid onto a plane. So if you have like a water bottle, the water bottle has to be empty. And this is what I don't understand. This is what ticks me off. I was coming back from Kafirstan West a number of years ago, and I had forgotten that I had water in my water bottle. And I get up and I put the bag up on the conveyor thing, and they go through there and I said, okay, well, you can leave the line completely, leave security, go outside the airport, dump that out, and then come back in, spend another 45 minutes going through this line. If you want to, or we can just keep the water bottle. No place to dump it out. This is what really ticks me off, is that if you should at least have the ability, if you have what is clearly a water bottle with a clear liquid in it, to dump it out. But no, you got to go spend another, and it's $10. But doggone it, $10 is $10. I had to go buy a new water bottle.
Because that it's like industry. There's a whole lot like industry after security, like having to buy water bottle stuff, having to buy like other kind of toiletries. After you've entered security, it's like there's a whole industry.
Right, you can't have like toothpaste, deodorants, all that stuff. You can't have that stuff unless you got like these itty bitty things.
Yeah,
those are the only things that you can have. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's insane.
And
you know, I just want to say something. I noticed a lot of these terrorists are coming from England, dude. What's up with that, Dominic? Why are you guys exporting all these terrorists?
We'd say that was Tony Blair who kind of invited them all over. So yeah,
that's because of the Israel that has been going there, and it has been encouraged to Europe since the 50s, and that has been going on since the 50s, and it's highly documented. Oriana Fallaci actually documented it. Also documented.
Did she write what was Paul? Expound on that just a little bit. I remember hearing about
Oriana Fallaci and Bat Yaor write about it.
Okay,
so it's actually highly documented. The amount of this is why when we talk about the grooming gangs, you hear about it going on for 50 to 60 years. So pick up the Oriana Fallaci's red book and her blue book. That's the best. If you type in Oriana Fallaci into Amazon, pick up her red book and her blue book. Yeah, that's one of the books I recommend. Those I recommend both picking up Islam and Dimitude as well. But
they're not easy reads either. Oh, by the way,
I would say Islam and Dimitude is easier. I was able to run through that, and the second one that you showed, that one is harder. But Oriana Fallaci's books are easy reads.
I don't have those.
They will blow your mind.
Post those in chat, Paul. Yeah, that way.
What?
Can you post the titles of those things in chat?
I'll do that right now. Okay. I have both of them. I love both of them. Let me just find. I'll go pause myself.
What's the title of the books? Oriana.
Okay, so let's jump back over to the slideshow. I'm almost done, folks. I'm almost done. Okay, so we looked at these. I mean, these guys are never going to make Parent of the Year, that's for sure. But if you remember, everywhere you go today, you have these things that will block the roads. And this is if you think of what happened in Lebanon in 2000 or 1983. Here you have that guy driving the truck.
Oh, Lebanon, excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah, Lebanon. That's what taught us the lesson that we have to have some type of barriers at the entrance to these things. As a matter of fact, one of the what do we call them? We call them deuce traps, where you would dig a hole, not a hole, but like a trench, a deep trench, about a 4 foot wide, 4 foot deep trench, probably 7-8 feet wide, and then back up on the opposite side. So vehicles would have to zigzag coming into your checkpoint. So they would have to slow down. Well, this guy, the lesson in Lebanon was it was just a straight shot to the barracks. It didn't have to slow down. He just ran right through it and drove right up to the building and killed 240 Marines just like that. So we've had to do that. And then this is one that really just ticks me off beyond anything is these planters that we're having to put on the streets. You know, they look nice, But I mean, they're really not necessary, other than the fact to keep people from jumping the curbs and running the kuffar over, screaming Allah Akbar, because that's what happens. In if you look in France, where that guy drove that truck down that pier, killing over 50 people, and it's happened several times in European countries. I'm not sure how many times it's happened in England.
Because we had a time when they tried the Houses of Parliament. They literally tried to drive a car bomb into the Houses of Parliament, whilst I think Boris and that were actually in the actual. So yeah, in the actual thing, and then there was the London Bridge bombings as well.
Yeah, and what I'm talking about is people getting run over. They're having to put these barricades up because these people are getting in these cars and intentionally running people over. It's absolutely sick. Go ahead,
you know
Sharon.
why all that happened? Al Qaeda put out in their Inspire magazine. They have they had one. I don't know if it still exists. To do vehicular jihads, and that's where that came from. You know, and that's when the Muslims started running people over. But then they also have order out to do fire jihads. And I don't know if you've noticed, but since about the time that they put that out in the Inspire magazine, we've had really some bad fires, because before that, these fires were not this bad. And they weren't like in circular patterns, like in a moon pattern. I noticed it was either last year or the year before, or it might have been before the lockdowns. It was like in moon patterns in California. They all started at once. They all started at once. When I first noticed it, it was down in LA Basin, and it was they all started about once around the area around. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure what county it is and stuff like that, but it came from the Inspire magazine, Al Qaeda's Inspire magazine, to do some of these jihads. And you know what? I've actually even told some of the fire departments, it's totally ignored, you know? Totally.
Now, okay, so were these set in the national forest, or where exactly were these set in the national forest? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not only in California either, because they started them in Europe too. The fires started getting out of hand in Europe too. But it's the forests. Yeah.
Okay.
We got a lot of forest in California and Oregon, and the states over here, especially in the north.
For those of you interested in where to find more information on the vehicular jihad, this comes from my blog. I'm putting in the chat room. That is a paper I wrote on that particular topic. I actually was assigned to predict an attack as I wrote the paper. That's exactly what happened. I never felt like vomiting so much as that. Go to that site. You'll find all that information that she's talking about.
Paul,
it's in Inspire, and it was in Dabiq, which is the ISIS manual. They were, both of them have encouraged vehicular manslaughter. The funny thing is the part about the fire. Now, the part about the fire where they started to initiate and to encourage people to start fires. They tell people, don't get caught in the fire because they'll laugh at you. Because that's actually happened to some jihadis. And that's actually in their manual. Don't get caught in the fire because they'll laugh at you.
Because they'll laugh.
Why?
I can't remember if that was the one in Inspire or the one in Dabiq, but yeah, it was, as I'm reading along and I'm seeing this, and it just makes you laugh.
Don't get caught you die, but don't get caught in the fire, they'll laugh at you.
Yeah,
it's just
they won't consider you a jihadi, they'll just consider you stupid.
Well, if you look at some of the YouTube videos that they've made of trying to fire, there's one that I watched one evening where a guy was trying to fire a rocket-propelled grenade, like an RPG, a law, and he had it backwards, and it shot out that way, and it was absolutely priceless.
I knew that was coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should like a how-to for like dummies, for like a book for dummies.
Well, if you look at a
here's
Claymore,
what-
okay, if
here's
you
what
look at a
they
Claymore
did.
mine, it says front towards enemy, and they put that on there for a very specific reason. Because some people would put it down and like, well, wait a second, which way do we aim this sucker? It says front towards enemy.
Well, on top of that, I will say this: that the advice they gave in the terrorist manual regarding vehicular jihad is actually has to be read for it to work. So I'm not going to say what they said. If you read my article, you'll see that. It's rather shocking.
Gave?
It's rather
Is that the
shocking.
same? Is that the same link, Paul, that you gave?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, Paul, I was trying to find the books because you put them up quickly, and I didn't actually get a.
Okay, this is the Rage,
Yeah.
and the Pride. Oriana Fallaci.
Oriana.
That's how you spell her name, Oriana. She is the hot journalist who died not that long
Excellent.
ago.
Got it.
How much is that book and how many pages is that? Like
Oh,
300, 400
This is
pages?
the thin one.
Yes, sir.
It's maybe 100.
Is that on Amazon, sir?
That's on 200.
Yeah,
maybe.
I've already
They're
put
short,
up the
very small books. Not
is
even
it on
6x9,
Amazon?
5x7 maybe. Maybe. Oriana Fallaci, The Forge of Reason is her blue book.
La Forge. Oh,
The
the Force of
F-O-R-G-E.
Reason.
Yeah,
Force of Reason. Sorry.
Yes,
She
sir.
is. I mean, she's
Whoa.
I just got your
How many
book, Paul.
pages is that? That's pretty thick. How many pages is that?
5x7.
5?
This is about 300.
Okay, sir.
300 is about the standard size of a book.
Let me just read a piece of this. Let's see. Just picking out one of the things I highlighted. Let's see, starting with Chechnya, that in the 60s, the Muslims of Kosovo were 60%. In the 90s, the 90%. Today, 100%. Now, this is when that was back in 2004. I mean, her and Bat-Yaor knew each other and had a lot of respect for each other. Oriana Fallaci was part of the Italian underground, and she fought. She was part of the Italian resistance. So, tells you how old she was, and why we had a lot of reasons to thank her. She did some amazing stuff. She talks about Hitler.
What's that book called again? Hitler?
This is Force of Reason that I'm looking
I've
at.
got. I put the links on the chat. I was trying to get the link over to the to YouTube as well, but the thing is, the link is too long.
Yeah.
So which is
okay. Force of Reason. I think I put Forge. Yeah. Force of Reason. Here's one from page 69 of Force of Reason. In my essay, objected. She's talking. Let me just start this out. Okay. It says she expressed her doubts about the opportunity of waging war on Saddam Hussein. We fight the war to free Iraq. Bush and Blair had said we fight to bring democracy and freedom to Iraq. The time of Hitler and Mussolini. And in her essay, she objected. You're wrong. Freedom and democracy are not two pieces of chocolate to give as a gift to those who don't know them and don't want to know them.
Right.
I love that. In Europe, the operation succeeded because in Europe, the two pieces of chocolate were a food we knew well, a heritage we had built and lost. Thus, we wanted them back. And with you, we fought to have them back. In Japan, it succeeded because Japan had already begun the march towards progress in the second half of the 19th century. As a consequence, Japanese were ready to eat the two never tested pieces of chocolate, to understand what they meant and to eat them. Freedom and democracy have to be wanted. And in order to want them, you have to know what they are. You have to understand their concepts. 95% of Muslims reject freedom and democracy, not only because they don't know what they are, because they don't understand their concepts, because their
Yes.
concepts are too strongly opposed to those on which theocratic totalitarianism is based, too opposite, antithetical to Islamic ideology. In that ideology, it's God who commands, not men. It's God who decides human destiny, not men. A God who leaves no room for choice, for common sense, for reasoning. A God to whom men are not even sons. They are subjects and slaves. I mean,
Did she say, what'd she say about common sense?
oh,
Read that again. Sorry.
Sorry. 66, 67.
Did she say opposed to common sense and reason?
I get it. Sorry. A God who leaves no room for choice, for common sense, for reasoning. So a God who doesn't leave any opportunity for common sense.
Yeah,
So
and Allah preaches that, let's come to common terms and come to reason, and don't you have any sense? But he doesn't establish that. It's all against that.
I will warn you, if you like to highlight a book or you like to underline a book, get 2 highlighters, get 2 markers.
I'm there. Years ago.
Yeah. I highlighted this book it feels like nonstop. There's so much in the blue book and in the red book. It's mind numbing. And she's no longer with us. And, I hope, I hope she found Christ. I don't know if she did or not, but boy, she's a powerful force. She was one of the most highly respected journalists of all time. If people don't know that, please understand that.
And she knew about Islam.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, they've tried to kill her.
What type of work did she do on Hitler? You said she did something on the Holocaust, didn't she?
Yes.
That's why I think where I first heard about her was the work that she
she's
had
well
done on
known
the
for many things, but she's known for her style of interviewing. And there's a story in here. I think it's about her and Yasser Arafat. She basically tells him to go to blank, and there's a few things, a few coarse descriptions of interviews in here, and I don't know how better way to describe it.
Well, I've read excerpts. I don't have any of her books, but I just put them in my.
Yes,
we add to checkout or whatever.
Bat Yaor talks about her, and Oriana Fallaci talks about Bat Yaor. So they had a nice relationship of comrade, knowing collegial work. Yeah, outstanding.
Well, knowing the work that Bat Yaor did, if it's anything close to that.
By the way, Oriana Fallaci credits Bat Yaor for all of the work that she has on the Hijra.
Wow.
Okay, well, there we go.
Oh, that's your book that got me so ticked off, huh? Now I know where you got that. When did she pass away, Paul? When did she die?
About 10 years ago, I think now.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I was sad. I was actually the 2 people I want to meet in my life would be Bat Yaor and Oriana Fallaci, but yeah.
It was 2006 she died. So
yeah,
16 years ago. That's a long time. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dominic.
She's a powerful woman.
Like us on the panel. In Jesus.
Yeah.
Even more.
Well, you wouldn't want to mess with Oriana. That's just the way I look at it. She's a powerful force. She could enter a room and people could feel that her presence. That's you hear about the teacher presence that you have to have. Oh boy, this woman had presence. World leaders recognized when she entered a room.
Wow, I'm impressed. I will get her books in Jesus' name.
She's Italian too.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Love Italians.
I love my Italian.
I love other races.
I lived in Italy for 4.5 years, so I love Italians. I love the culture.
The Italian government up in ways that you would not expect.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they've had, if you think about it, they've had like 50 some odd governments in the past 50 years. They get a new government every year. Every time you turn around, they're having some type of election because somebody can't hold the majority in
Somebody's
parliament.
asking about the name. All right, there it is.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think that was our lady,
Thank you, Paul.
Karen. I'm going to tell you, Karen sent me a bunch of things that I have not shared with you as of yet. So I'm going to have to get that into the Google Drive. Thank you, Karen, for doing that.
Share them.
I know. I just gotta find the time to do it. You know, last week
have you gotten through half of your presentation of 100 and some odd slides?
Yeah. Well, no, we're done with the slideshow. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Tuesday we can go a little bit later because the Queen is having. I have to hide because she has the. I'm serious. She has this monthly ladies meeting that they go to, and she is hosting it this Tuesday. And she understands that the radio show is going on, whether or not she's having her little get together or not. They normally do it on Thursday nights, but anyway, scheduling conflicts she's having on Tuesday. So we can talk until, I don't know how late them ladies stay out. They stay usually till about 9 or so. Hopefully.
Good, because we miss everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so some takeaways from 9/11. But you know, when we start making conclusions, number one, it has changed. It's obviously changed our country, changed it for, in my opinion, as far as
the worst.
When we look at
the worst. It's changed our country for the worse as well. It's like,
well, when we think of our civil liberties, I think it has impacted us quite a bit. And here's a common saying is that those who would trade a little bit of security for their fundamental rights deserves neither, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So
word for it. My biggest issue is we had at least two idiot people who gave speeches. George Bush gave a speech with Muslim Brotherhood and jihadis at the Al-Hijra Mosque, calling Islam peace when he addressed the nation.
But it is, Paul.
I'm
kidding. Okay, I'm kidding.
Islam Jesus.
Submission. So and for those of you who don't know, the intelligence community as a whole in the United States, due to that speech, was forbidden from ever looking at Islam as an enemy, because he specifically stated Islam is not our enemy. So the intelligence community was forbidden from looking at Islam as a potential enemy. That's part of the reason why we are in such a bad state today.
I'm looking for Philippines.
So I blame Bush for a lot of our problems today. And then we have the idiocy of bringing more people who have similar ideology or equivalent ideology to those who wanted to kill us on 9/11.
And Eric, I want to, like I did last year, I want to share my dream that the Lord gave me 30 minutes before 9/11 happened, if you please.
No, go on ahead. I'm looking for a book here.
Okay. I had a dream that I was like up in the air, and I saw this tall boy, and his shoulders was on fire. And then all of a sudden I was pushed forward. My first thought was, yeah, I want to go help him. But then I was afraid. I was like, no, I don't want to go there. But I was pushed forward, and I hit the second building. I saw the fire, and then the building, that same building that I hit that I was in, came falling down. And I could see the fire down on the ground. And then Ron touched me to tell me that he's going to bed. He's going to work, excuse me. And then I told him my dream. And then he called me once he got to work and said, you need to watch TV. I didn't notice it I didn't realize that I even had that dream until me and my ex-stepmom was watching the second building being hit. And then it all flashed back to me. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's just a surreal morning. A lot of if you ask people where they were that morning when they learned of that, you could people that were alive then, or at least adults at that time, can tell you exactly where they were and what they were doing that morning. Even kids that were in school, my son and daughter, they were seventh grade, sixth grade at that time. They remember exactly what they were doing when they learned that morning. And it's just, especially being a soldier that morning. As a matter of fact, I walked into my boss's office after I'd learned that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, and he had the TV on. It's one of them big old console TVs. This is before we had the flat screen and such. And just as I walk into the office, you see that second plane coming across the screen, hitting the second tower, and you're just holy. And it's just like being in a movie. We all remember that morning, how awful it was watching those people jump from the towers to their deaths. All right, so one thing I wanted to
question. Actually, I got a question here. So right then, did they sit there and say you're now on alert? I mean, you get your kit together, you're ready to go. Gear
it
up,
was when the Pentagon, everybody went to the arms room after the Pentagon was hit. They shut the base. Yeah, they shut the base completely down. They had everybody in fighting position. It was surreal because all along the perimeter of the garrison, you had people doing patrols up and down the perimeter of housing areas. Guys walking around with M4s in housing areas. It was just, and then you have 60, M60s, Mark 19s sitting at the gate as you come in to check civilian cars. It was like you're sitting in Iraq. That's what we would put there at the gates in Iraq, is that you would have M60 and M60, a crew served weapon there at the gates for anybody that, and then plus you have the jaws, they call them jaws, and you had all these HESCO baskets set up so people couldn't, run through there real quick. So it took me, I remember when I went home that night, it took me 4 hours to get off post, just to get off the installation. It took me 4 hours. They were checking cars coming in and going out, and it was nuts. Watch out for that Marshall guy. Hold on. Here we got somebody that's Matthew Johnson. Watch out for that Marshall guy. He got me banned for 7 days and had the nerve to threaten me to do it again. Welcome to the party, Matthew.
Marshall, you still doing that stuff? Oh man, Marshall, I thought you gave that up, dude. Now I'm very disappointed in you, Marshall. Very disappointed.
I don't mean to, rain on Matthew's parade here, but dude, you're exactly right. That's what he does. I mean, he'll brag about it too. I literally have thousands of emails from this guy taunting me. And this is the type of guy that goes out and he makes look at this. This is what he does. I mean, he makes a Facebook page called Refuting the Cross of the Crescent. There's a Facebook page dedicated to refuting this show. So power to it. I wish him nothing but good
It's because
health.
he can't think of anything on his own to do.
He's
Small-minded individual.
I'll give him this. Paul, I will say this about him. He knows the rules for reporting people on Facebook. He knows that stuff inside and out, and he's really, so when Matthew says that he'll get you banned, he will get you banned if you don't watch what you're doing. He'll
seriously lock down your account, put all your posts and comments on private, clean up your Facebook friend page. I mean, seriously, this dude ain't just gonna, dude. No. He's just getting 7 days. He's just getting started with you, my friend. He's just no, dude. You do not understand, dude.
Thinking the same thing, man.
My real Facebook page finally Facebook deleted it. Okay, because of all his nonsense, dude. I mean, seriously, we can go through it. man, it's just. I mean, dude, he was so good at it. I do admire him on this. He was so good at it. At one time, I got off a 30-day Facebook ban, and I said, "Good morning, Facebook," and he mass recorded that and got me kicked off for that, for saying "Good morning, Facebook." I'm like, you have got to be kidding me, dude.
Okay, Rad. Just have a seat. Just have a seat. I've had 8 or 9 Facebook accounts shut down by this guy. Literally shut down. He even went for one of them. This is crazy. He went and copied a lot of the pictures that I have on my Facebook page, and he made a page impersonating me. Okay. And then reported me for impersonating his. That's what this guy does. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's
so evil. That's satanic. When he lies,
he might be the one that keeps trying to impersonate me that everybody reports to me.
Wow.
Yeah, that could be
Welcome
it.
back, Marshall. He must have just got out of rehab or something. Well, welcome back, Marshall. I mean, I haven't done this dude in a while. Welcome back, Marshall. I hope you stay off the meth, man. Seriously, I felt really bad. I felt really bad when Kenny said you were back on the map. Evidently, he attacked some Muslim dude that was supposed to be helping him, beat him up.
What's the guy's full name?
I don't.
Marshall Gregory, dude.
Marshall Gregory.
Yeah, that's yeah. And
oh, way back when.
Well, this is where you just have to be careful as far as who you accept friends from, because he'll try to get in on your friends list, and then it's game over from there. If he gets on your friends, just to be careful who you accept on your friends list, and who can view your posts and who can see who your friends are, because he does a good job of connecting the dots and trying to.
Well, hey, go after that Matthew dude. Yeah, leave us alone. Matthew, sorry, but we're throwing you under the bus to Marshall.
Yeah, no, he's Matthew put down he loved the show from Facebook. I got the thing up there, but yeah.
Eric,
okay.
Eric,
yeah.
May I address Darcy right now?
Why is Darcy in trouble again? What is she doing?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't.
Hey Darcy, if you are texting on this live show right now, can you send me the link in Skype, if you please, so I can re-listen to it, because I didn't save it, because it takes a couple hours before we can see it if we don't have the link.
What?
Well, I can send it to you on your phone to your number.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that'll be fine. Thank you, dear. Yeah, you can't see it immediately if you don't go there. Anyway, thank you, Eric.
Okay, yeah, you bet. Okay, we got a couple new people in the chat. Saint Murad. Murad
said he's an Arabic speaker. He does programs with Mel from Sneakers Corner. He knows his stuff.
Oh, really?
Murad
Really had him on. Well,
yeah, let's see his. What did he say? Because I recognize that name too. Let me see him. What did he say?
Let me do this. Hold on. I'm going to put let's see here. I'm going to put the link for the show in chat. So if he wants to come onto the show, he's more than welcome to.
I've been trying to get Bilal to come back. He asked the other day, "Is he live?" I said, "No, he's coming on Sunday, which is today." So I think Bilal may want to come back.
Okay, well,
yeah, Bilal,
have him email me. Email me.
I'm waiting. He did call me, and I spoke to him on Skype, because he's like, "Well, can't you talk?" I said, "Well, I try to bring people onto the show. That's what I do," and he accepted that.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay, so I wanted to touch a little bit on the truther thing, and some of the conspiracy theories that are out there. The first one that I saw that I thought was pretty abhorrent was the fact that a missile was shot at the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. Now,
no.
Okay, well,
obviously,
it's
Yeah, they claim that a missile shot the second tower.
Uh,
But,
Initial, a lot of the initial
sorry,
claim, the
sorry.
initial
We
claims.
watched
Yeah,
that live. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I watched
Right.
it live, and I had that dream before, and I wasn't a missile. I was with people in a plane.
With-
Okay, so
The one
anyway,
with the Pentagon is they don't have. You're right, Paul. We do have the video of the plane hitting the first tower and the second tower. We have videos of aircraft doing that, and it's independent video. This isn't government. These were news. These are news stations, national news stations, doing this. As a matter of fact, the one that hit the first tower was a film crew in New York City. They were filming the fire department. They were checking sewers or
on
something.
Good Morning America. They were showing it was that was in the background.
yes. And Rad's video, that last video that Rad made, it shows. They're showing.
Yeah.
They're saying,
Well,
"Yeah, we haven't seen it from this angle," and all of a sudden, here this second plane comes. Boom.
Right, and that's what I saw when I walked into my sergeant major's office that morning. Is I saw that just as I walked in, I'm like, whoa, because it showed the burning of the first building. But anyway, the Pentagon is the one that I wanted to touch on because there were people that said that, and just like when you have independent testimony of people about an event, you're going to get all kinds of different answers. For an example, people claim that, well, we heard explosions going off in the World Trade Center just as soon as it was coming down. Well, you can hear things breaking, like metal snapping, and it's sounding like you're thinking that you're hearing an explosion, but they're not explosions. So you can take the eyewitness testimony and then compare that with the physical testimony, the physical evidence, and you can clearly see that these weren't independent explosions bringing the buildings down like they claimed. But the one with the Pentagon, where they said that it was where they said it was a missile that hit the Pentagon, you have pieces of aircraft laying out in the light poles sheared off of where that aircraft was flying so low into the Pentagon that the pieces of the aircraft flew off the aircraft or off the plane and sheared off the light pole. And you had people saying that they saw an aircraft, but yet this idea that that the Pentagon was hit by a missile still persisted for I don't know how long. Why? Because, well, the width of the hole was not the width of the entire aircraft. Forget the fact that the wing could be easily sheared off. Forget that fact. But since the hole didn't fit that idea, they said, well, it had to be a missile. So the first thing that these people want to do is they want to blame the government on this. And it reminds me of Chuck Colson. Do you guys know who Chuck Colson was? Charles Colson?
Oh, yes.
Okay, he used to do prison ministries, and the reason why he did prison ministries is because he was in prison at one time, and the reason why he was in prison at one time is because he was sent there because of the Watergate fiasco with Richard Nixon. And here's what he said. Here's what he said. He said one of the reasons why he converted to Christianity, became a Christian, is because he saw how quickly the most powerful men in the world folded when they were caught in a lie. And then he compared that to the testimony of the evangelists. If these evangelists were lying and they were just lowly fishermen, people of not great stature or power, held to this story of Jesus Christ being raised from the dead in his resurrection, then there has to be a lot of validity to that, because he saw what the most powerful men in the world do. And when you compare that to this idea that this was somehow an inside job, this was somehow something that the government did, you just can't get that many people that would have to be involved in something like this to keep it a secret for this long. It's impossible. And so to say that this was some type of inside job, this is a plan that the government facilitated it, enabled it, allowed it, ignored it, is just absolutely asinine. Sorry for the harsh word, but it is asinine to think that that this was somehow the government was involved in perpetuating this on its own people for whatever nefarious.
I forgot it was Popular Mechanics did a great thing on debunking all this stuff on the Pentagon. They're like, because the conspiracy theorists are like, well, you don't see any plane debris in these pictures, and they have a whole thing. They're like, yeah, you don't see it in these pictures, but here you see it in these pictures. You know what I mean? The engine is right there in the front lawn of the Pentagon. There's a part of the tail. I mean, the whole thing broke apart before it hit. Okay, the Pentagon. It actually hit first on the ground and kind of just careened into the Pentagon. Secondly, I'm noticing the only video I think we got is one from a security camera at the gate. And I'm looking at that, and you compare that to actual cruise missiles, you can see that's a detonation outside. Whereas a cruise missile, it penetrates and it detonates inside. It would be a hell of a lot more damage. You know what I mean? No, the whole thing is just kind of preposterous. I'm shocked on Twitter and even in my locals community how many people still believe this. You know what I mean? I just don't even respond to them. I mean, why bother? If you're going to believe in that stuff, you know. But one of my favorite ones, though, is that they said that, okay, 2 weeks before, I guess they shut down the World Trade Center or something like that for an hour. They did a drill where they evacuated everybody out of the building. And that's when they put all the explosives in. But if you look at how they do these explosives, they kind of tear the whole thing apart first, even to get to the beams to put the explosives in. I mean, it just makes no sense. But let's play Marshall's video because he has actually something that it's kind of funny.
Okay, you got it up.
Yeah, let me. So I got to share.
And then can we play Rad's video at the end again? Because man, that's so key. No, that's key according to this topic right now. Eric, may we?
Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I still have that video up, but
what are you doing over there?
Oh man, dude.
All right, entire screen. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it this way. All right, let me mute. Oh, hold on, let me mute. Hold on.
You know, Eric, while he's on mute, I wanted to tell you when I made your intro video, it literally made me sick. I couldn't stand looking at those towers being hit. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's not just the towers, but also, Rad, you got way too many things going on here.
Well, yes, the people. Yes, sir. Yes, the people.
Okay, so what does he got? Donald Rumsfeld's infamous Freudian slip shot down the plane over Pennsylvania. Yeah,
he's running. Rad, you're running Windows 11.
He's on mute. Okay.
Make it bigger, Rad. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Okay, can't hear it. Hold on. No, it's my fault. Hold on, stop. Hold on just a second. This is my fault. Wait a second. Nope. Hold on, stop. Okay, bring it back up.
I did stop, but I figured out how we can do it. Okay.
No, just bring it back up. Add it back to the screen.
That's what I'm doing. Hold on.
Why are you taking so long?
Because perfection takes time.
Woohoo!
All right, there you are. There we go. All right, share. Chrome tab. Download. So there we go. Okay. All right, can you guys see it?
Hold on. No. Well, hold on a second. Why isn't mute? No, unmute. Try it now.
Okay, the host has unmuted the screen. Okay, here we go.
All of us have a sense if we imagine the kind of world we would face.
Full screen.
If the people who bombed the mess hall in Mosul, or the people who did the bombing in Spain, or the people who attacked the United States in New York, shot down the plane over Pennsylvania and attacked the Pentagon.
That doesn't make
I think
any
all
sense.
of us have a sense if we imagine the kind of world we would face. If the people who bombed the mess hall in Mosul, or the people who did the bombing in Spain, or the people who attacked the United States in New York, shot down the plane over Pennsylvania and attacked the Pentagon.
Okay, so the people who shot down the plane over Pennsylvania and attacked the Pentagon. What are we doing here, Ed? Here we go. That was some type of ad. So it is a Freudian slip, I guess, right? That proves that the plane was shot down. All those voice recordings we have, those didn't happen.
It actually sounds like he put two clips together.
Yeah, well, no, it's not that he's saying something about something, I don't know, and he says if we would have shot down the plane, I don't know. It's just really ridiculous. But either way, the plane went down. There's a big hole. There's no debris. If you shoot down a plane with a missile, debris is going to fall all over the place. This thing put a hole right in the middle of a field in Pennsylvania. Okay, it went straight down. There was no debris. I mean, this stuff is just totally stupid.
Well, you would have somebody that would have admitted to it, because that would have been a lawful. I mean, they would have been
right. No, that would have been lawful.
If we had done it, they would have lawfully been able to shoot down that plane.
So in Pennsylvania,
so even if that did it,
this is flight 193, correct? 93. This is the one where the famous "Let's Roll."
Mm-hmm.
So we have the testimony of the people who were on the plane. So we know what happened.
It's totally ridiculous, the nonsense they come up with. But like you said, Eric, even if they would have shot down the plane, that would have been totally lawful. Unfortunately, at that time, none of our fighters in the United States of America were armed. But now
they're right. They're right. Yeah. They had dispatched, I think there were F-15s, and there was 5 of them, and they were told that they would have to literally fly their jet into the passenger jet, Flight 93, to keep it from getting into the airspace in Washington, D.C. Yeah, you're right. They were ready. The pilots were ready to do that, which is absolutely amazing. Thinking that you would have to use your own jet to sacrifice your life to save the lives of everybody else.
Right. Well, that's our American soldiers.
And when you start, and this is what really ticks me off about this whole thing, is that by perpetuating lies like this, what he's diminishing is the service of the American soldier. This is somebody, think about who Marshall is. He's copied and pasted a book that he says that he's writing, which he's not, that talks about all of the bombings that the United States of America has done in the past whatever years. And in order to compile a list like that, you either going to cut and paste it from the internet someplace or whatever. But you hate your country. And that's exactly what that man and that other goober from Houston do. They absolutely hate our country. And the reason why they hate our country is because our country has incarcerated them for being criminals. So the majority of the people that are incarcerated, you're not going to have a lot of patriotism going on in places like Sing Sing or Alcatraz. It's just not going to exist unless you're prison guard itself. Then maybe a little bit different. But if you're a prisoner and you've been imprisoned in our country, you're probably not going to have a lot of love for our country to begin with.
Yeah, Eric. Eric, may I? May I, Eric?
You can go after Red. Go ahead, Red.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, the thing, too, when these Muslims deny this, they like to say, come on, or even the 9/11 conspiracy guys, come on, you really believe that these Arabs living in a cave could do all this? So you're telling me that these people are stupid? No, they're not stupid. They're stupid in the sense that they're following a false god and condemning themselves to hell and fighting a losing battle. But no, these are not stupid. These are very smart men. Osama bin Laden graduated from some of the top universities in the West.
He was an engineer, for Pete's sake. He was an engineer. The guy was brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, anybody can go, well, especially at that time, anybody could go and sign up for these schools to learn how to fly jets. That's kind of encouraged. They want to train pilots to fly jets so they can have more pilots to fly jets. You know what I mean? Okay?
Well, the schools are in it to make money too, so they're really not
exactly
too partial at who in their screening process.
Now, were there things that were missed on our side? Absolutely. The stupid CIA agents that were on the Obama thing, they blew it. They would not let the information be shared because for some reason they were just there to collect intelligence. Well, intelligence doesn't do you any good if you don't act on it. You know what I mean? They were thinking they were going to find something deeper. No, I mean, these morons. I mean, these guys, that whole team, there was the one dude, and it was like 6 women. I think he only had women on his team. So there's something weird about the guy. And they like worshipped him, man. But no, he should be in prison for what he did. He could have shared the information, instead he refused. He locked everybody out. There was an interview with the FBI agent. He was saying, no, I could not share this information. I was forbidden from sharing this information. When they had the terrorists, when they had them taking classes, when they had them in the, you know what I mean? In the United States, all of a sudden, all of them come in the United States at the same time.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Oh.
Let me ask this question, and then we'll get to you, Connie. I haven't forgotten about you. Even if they were able to share this information, and they were tracking these pilots, these guys that had come to the country, were going through flight school. Even if they were able to share this, do you think they would have been able to prevent something like this?
Yeah, they would have arrested him. They definitely would have arrested him.
For what?
They would have held. Oh no, because first of all, they were in the country illegally. They were on the terrorist watch list. They should not have been in the country. That's one of them. No, several of them should not have been in the country. Okay, I'm not talking the pilots, the ones that went to the flight school. I'm talking these ones that were the muscle. There were several that should not have been in the country. As a matter of fact, the only reason that the 19th hijacker, didn't get in is because he was a major idiot to this female, what do you call it? Agent, the baggage people, whatever. What are they called? Transit authority people. I don't know, the cops there. And she scrutinized his passport and said, no, you ain't getting in. She waited for the flag to come back and flagged him and said, nope, you're not getting in. But no, there were several of them that were on the no flight, not no flight thing, but there were several that should not have been in the country. I think including Muhammad Atif or whatever his name was. Muhammad Atta, whatever his name is. No, they could have picked them up. They could have taken them in for question. They could have broke up the whole cell. Even if they couldn't arrest them to hold them, they could have still deported them. Or just the fact that they arrested him, held him, and were on them and watching him would have broke up the whole thing because they would have called it off because it would have been too risky. You know what I mean? No, it could have been preventable if they would have been able to share this information.
I don't know. I just don't think that we're that smart, to be honest. And I hate saying that. But I'm just okay. If you think about this plan of theirs, you're going to get into our country, you're going to attend our flight schools, and then you are going to take over aircraft using box cutters. I don't know. I just can't get there as far as that being some type of plan that you're going to be able to prevent. I mean, of course, now you're going to, but I don't think our thinking was geared toward, was focused in that way at that time. So to be able to piece that together would have been awfully hard. But you're right. They could have arrested them. They could have done, but how flimsy a charge on, I don't know. Connie, go ahead. You were going to say something, then we got to go.
Yes, Christian Prince grilled the imam from Houston if he would defend America if America was attacked by the Muslims, and he would not, and we know why, because he is a Muslim. Thank you. And I've got that video. Thank you.
Well, it's obvious by the way he talks about our country that he wouldn't. And this is kind of scary. The way we're raising kids today to the point of teaching them to hate their country instead of love their country. And if you have too many people that hate your country, you're not going to have anybody that's going to be willing to defend it. And that's how empires crumble. Okay, has anybody got anything they want to add for the cause before we go?
My last bit of wisdom.
All right, go ahead,
Research.
Darcy.
Question everything. You research, you read. Don't just believe what you hear right away.
Okay. Yep.
This week,
Nothing wrong with that.
Thursday.
That is wisdom. Thank you, Doris.
Go ahead, Paul.
I got something to say. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Go.
Okay. This Thursday, I'm going to have a show, Are We Safer Today than we were 21 years ago? And my answer is actually no, but I have Todd Bensman speaking, and I'm hoping to have a few others.
I kind of see where Paul's coming, because I think terror is won or at least winning, or it's looking good for them because of the infiltration has increased. I mean, they're in our judicial system, our political system, both parties. They're in the textbooks. They've successfully updated textbooks where they look good and Christianity and Judaism look bad. Well,
they own majority shares in a lot of those textbook companies too.
Have grown. I mean, exploded the number of mosques. Zakat hasn't been halted because part of that funds violent jihad, and and on and on. It's just I see them more and more in commercials. To me, it makes the hair on my neck rise. I wouldn't buy whatever they're pushing, but it's oh well. That's my comment.
Okay.
Amen. Good thought. Amen. Thank you, sis.
Don't forget to play the closing.
I will. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Right.
Or can we just go to the close? Why is everybody looking forward to this close?
Marshall, you might want to pay attention to this, Marshall. You really might want to pay attention to this.
Can I add something, Eric, after the
standard narrative?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. After 9/11 happened, I mean, just minutes later, that second plane, my thought was, I hope America now learns about Islam. Has she as a whole, beginning with the government? No. What they have done is put them in protective groups. Thank you.
Shame on our religious leaders. I can't believe.
And our government. Yes, both. Yes, ma'am. Both. Yes, ma'am.
Well, people are afraid of being called names.
So what? What's the deal?
I'm just telling you the reason for it.
They're afraid. The gospel. Yeah, they're not
of being labeled. People are afraid of being labeled. And that's why
but it's because they're not true Christians at all. They've infiltrated the church. I mean, like my parents, they were in what church were they in? The Methodist, I think. And they don't go there anymore because, it's been ransacked and for years. I mean, I've seen it, but they finally see it,
Well,
so most of the church has been ransacked. Yeah.
Denominations like that are dying across the country. If you look, denominations that have embraced that type of thing, the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, ELCA, they're a shadow of what they were, and there's a reason why is because they embrace policies and ideas like that.
They embrace mediocrity. That's what it comes down to.
And the money, they don't want to be taxed, right? They don't want to be taxed, so they follow that money. Exactly.
Okay, here we go, folks. Isa just made it back.
Thank you, Eric.
Can you hear me?
I want to hear Isa. I want to hear Isa.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. The other one wasn't working. It was my computer. I just wanted to say that, this is a very powerful day, and it's a very intense and sad day. And just to pray for all those people that have passed away. I think that we just want to have because that's who we need to focus on, are all the lives who are lost, all the families who are affected, and just, have a memory and prayer for them. So that's what I want to say.
Amen, Isa. Come to Christ, Isa. Come to Jesus Christ, and I pray that the Father will lead you to his Son for salvation. We love you, Isa, in Jesus' name. Dr. Isa.
Thank you,
sir.
Amen.
Amen. Here we go. We'll see you.
He said amen. Tuesday. Did you hear that, Eric? Eric, this wonderful guy said amen. Bless you, Isa. I love you in Jesus' name, sir.
Bless you too.
Tuesday, 5:00. Meccan Mystery, Part 5. Be here or be square.
Advanced student and specialist. That the standard narrative has holes. That's what I'm
That's all, folks.